VIR was the setting of a battle royale in Race 1 of the Pirelli GT4 America weekend yesterday. The Random Vandals pairing of Kenton Cook and Kevin Bohm prevailed in a race-long duel with Auto Technic's Zach Anderson and John Capestro-Dubets for the overall win. The Pro-Am and Am class fights were fierce as well, but today, the challenge of facing this daunting 3¼ mile roller coaster of a racetrack and nearly 40 other competitors resumes anew with the 8th race of the 2023 season. Hello and welcome to VIR, Virginia International Raceway. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside, and Amanda Busick is down in the pits. It's a pleasure to have your company. And I think you're going to want to buckle up for this one because yesterday was a barn burner. Pair of BMWs duking it out all race long at the front, and guess what? They start side by side for race 2.
How cool is that? Kenton Cook and JCD, as we call him, John Capestro-Dubets, had a classic battle here yesterday. It was just sensational racing, one for the ages, and now they start from the front row here today as well.
Picking up right where they left off yesterday, just a tremendous battle. BMW had themselves a day yesterday, too. Dominated the top 10. The top 4 positions were all BMWs. Every class was won by a BMW M4 GT4. Yes, they were well driven. Yes, the teams did a nice job, but we talk about it, horses for courses. It seems like this new generation BMW M4 and VIR are a match made in heaven.
Yes, it's a debut season for this new GT4 BMW M4 platform, and it seems to be very well suited here. It's got good straightaway speed, it's got good braking ability, it's able to ride the curves nicely. Certainly the NOLA Sport team gave them a run yesterday, but not really a threat for the one for Travis and Hart. Good points, a podium finish, and they're looking for the similar thing here today, I think. Damage limitation for the non-BMW teams here this weekend.
And it was this team from NOLA Sport, Travis and Hart, former champions in this class together. In the case of Jason Hart, a multi-time champion the past 2 seasons. They broke up that BMW party at the front. They'll start in 5th today, highest qualified non-BMW. Next to them is one of the other cars that appeared to be able to have some pace to challenge the BMWs, and that's the Conquest JMF Motorsports Mercedes that is driven by Mackay Stevens and Jesse Webb.
Yeah, and yesterday we saw a rare mistake by Mackay Stevens. He is so solid, he is so quick, and just had a little moment there and put them a little bit deeper down the order, so they're looking to rebound here today.
Certainly are. Have every chance of doing so, starting from the 6th position. Nice crowd has assembled here to take in all the racing. Lots of campers, lots of RVs and tents that have been here since we arrived on Thursday, and the crowd has only grown. There is the CrowdStrike-sponsored BMW M4 that found victory yesterday. Kenton Cook, what a day it was. 2 overall wins, both in GT4 as well as Fanatec GT, where we'll see him again later today with the TR3 squad. And for Kevin Bohm, it's a breakthrough win for him, a multi-time touring car champion, but getting the win in GT4.
Yeah, and he's looking to seal the deal. He got the win yesterday, but he hasn't seen the checkered flag. It seems like in the second part of the weekends so far this season, he's had a little bit of drama about attack Dakota. Big damage to that race car, so they rebounded nicely, scored good points there yesterday, gained 7 points on the leaders. That was certainly important for them. It was a huge moment for Kenton Cook to get that lead yesterday, not only for the race win, but also for the championship scenario.
Effectively a 14-point swing with that victory. Let's look at the starting grid here. It's a massive field of cars. We'll roll through it as we get set to go for the second of 2 GT4 America races. Let's look at the starting grid. As mentioned, the front row, a pair of BMWs, Kenton Cook, JCD, John Capestro-Dubets. They finished 1-2 yesterday. That's how they start today. Pro-Am winners yesterday, Tyler McQuarrie and Am Class winner James Clay. They make up positions 3 and 4. Jason Hart and Mackay Stevens in a Porsche and a Mercedes, respectively, in the 3rd row. Row 4, John Jesbray. Great qualifying effort for the young man from Texas. He'll have the Canadian Aaron Povolato alongside, starting in 8th. To the 5th starting row, Colin Garrett, just out of a TC America race where he finished runner-up. He'll be in a Rooster Hall Racing entered BMW alongside Flying Lizard Motorsports' Andy Lee. Back to the 6th row, Juan Pablo Martinez. Solid qualifying effort for him. He'll have the Rapid Dutchman Kai van Berlo starting next to him. That was row 6. Now we go to row 7. Frank Seldorf and Tyler Gonzalez in a Porsche and a Toyota Supra. Row number 8 then belongs to Chris Allen and John Branham from STR38 and TR3 Racing. Chandler Hall, Kobe Shield make up row number 9, and we're just halfway through this field. Row 10, Al Carter and Hannah Grisham. Big day for Al Carter yesterday, picking up a win or a podium with Paul Sparta. Lee Carpentier and Grant Maben in row number 11. Row 12 to Jaden Lander and Matt Holcomb. Then back to the 13th row. The 25th starting position belongs to Terry Borcheller. Carter Bartuck from the Skip Arbor School team starts 26th. Rob Walker, Joey DeSilva starting 27th and 28th. Row 15 finds positions 29 and 30 belonging to Colin Harrison and Tommy Johnson. Row 16, Roland Crines and Tyler Stone in a Tech Sport Nissan. Cool program based right here at VIR. Row 17, Chris Ruppel from Zotz Racing and Michael Dayton on debut this weekend for Rooster Hall in an M-Class entry. Then it's Gray Newell and Dan Hanley was scheduled to line up 36th, and at the back of the field, that car has been withdrawn. So that is the starting field for today's race 2 of the weekend for Pirelli GT4 America. Great battles all throughout the field and a phenomenal racetrack on which to do battle, Cal.
It's spectacular. It's so challenging. It's unforgiving in certain parts, but they've done a great job here of making the safety of this racetrack at a different level from years past. So everyone enjoys coming here. It's got so much elevation change, as you can see, as the cars come down here on the formation lap through the roller coaster. This is a really challenging one out of Hogpen on that front straightaway. You need straightaway speed. That's where you're going to make the moves into the brake zones for turn 1 and down into a Hogpen. But nonetheless, there are some other opportunities through some of the tight, twisty stuff as well.
We talked about the Tech Sport team being based here at VIR. One of their drivers is Tyler Stone. Let's learn more about Tyler and the Tech Sport operation.
My name is Tyler Stone. I'm with Tech Sport Racing, driver of the number 23 Nissan Z GT4. One thing I like about driving the Z GT4 is all the driver controls that are right there at your fingertips. For example, most cars today come with traction control. We have traction control on the steering wheel, and we can control it in 2 different ways, 1 by the volume of intervention and 2 by the speed of the intervention. In addition to that, I like the ABS settings. We have 12 different levels of settings on there, depending on the track conditions. And then also there's a map setting, 3 different map settings on the engine management system that we can control during the race. The Nissan Z GT4 is a very comfortable car to drive. From the driver cockpit with all the controls right there at your fingertips, to actually the AC, which this is the first race car I've ever driven that had air conditioning in it, which is really nice. But the car has a really good balance and it's very fast on the straights. So in a corner exit and down the straight, we're probably, I would say we're one of the fastest. Well, there's several things that are really cool about the Z GT4 and the Tech Sport Racing program and Nissan Motorsports. One is there are only 2 of these cars in North America, and both of them being piloted by Tech Sport Racing. The engineering support that they've had from the factory as they develop these cars for future sales has been unparalleled in anything I've done prior to this season. The cars won't be available for anyone to buy, so literally these are the only 2 that are raced in North America. It's really cool to be a part of a program that's 1, racing a new platform, and 2, developing that platform as we go for future.
Super cool program, really neat race car powered by a 3.0 liter twin turbo V6 that produces right around 450 horsepower depending on the balance of performance. That motor, by the way, based on the version found in one of the road cars, and it is the first Nissan GT4 car to compete since a 370Z raced in British GT back in 2018. So a very special program. Great to have it here in Pirelli GT4 America, and great for the Tech Sport team to be running that program as well.
Yeah, I think everyone's got a curious eye on that program as it continues development. It's getting a lot of attention from the Nissan engineers, and look forward to seeing their progress. I think we're going to see a lot more of those cars on the grid next year.
Already picked up some strong results going back to the season opener at Sonoma Raceway. More on that as time allows, but for now we focus in on the front of this field because we have 1 hour on the clock and we're about to turn this field of GT4 cars loose On the Rover pole, it's Kenton Cook from Random Vandals Racing. That's the car to the left-hand side of the screen on the front row. John Capestro Dubet starts alongside two of the top GT4 drivers in North America. Into the VP acceleration zone. There's the green flag. Pretty good jump from the outside of the front row from JCD. He's fighting alongside Kenton Cook. Won't want to let Kenton get away. Look at the field, though, fanning out 3 and 4 wide deep through the pack.
Big move there down at the outside. You saw the white-colored Mercedes and Mackay Stevens trying to make some early moves, and he does so. He could be up to P3 by the time they get to turn 3. He does. Gets inside a couple of the BMWs.
Mackay is so aggressive. We've seen him with those incisive moves. That pass for the lead nearly at NOLA comes to mind. That ended in a drag race to the stripe and a literal photo finish, but very aggressive here in the early going of race 2 at VIR, and the Van der Stur car is off, slides a little bit wide at the exit of turn 5, but able to recover.
Yeah, everyone else getting through there unscathed, that looked like, and now you head up into these climbing S's. Look at this monstrous field we have here at VIR. 3 classes all combined here at the same time. Gray Newell start from pit lane after a problem here this weekend. Got some penalty points, so he's on the rebound a little bit.
Kenton Cook showing the way. The Random Vandals car running right where it finished just 1 day ago. The lead over John Capestro Dubet's about 3 car lengths. Here comes the field through Oak Tree, the famed hairpin that leads to this 4,000-foot drag strip, Madison Avenue, down the backstretch here at VIR.
Yeah, basically 3/4 of a mile, and it is literally a dyno run for these cars here. Mackay Stevens moving around a little bit into the brake zone. He's vulnerable with that Mercedes to the BMWs with straight line speed.
Side by side here, STR 38 and Copeland doing battle a little bit deeper in the pack. That was Tyler Gonzalez and I believe Chris Allen. They did sort it out. There they come. Allen got the better of that duel, at least for the moment. Move him up to the 14th position in the overall running order. Of course, 3 different classes here in Pirelli GT4 America. Silver for a pair of silver-graded drivers. Pro-Am with a Pro and an Am, as you would anticipate, and an all-Am class as well. Mixing it up, we have all 3 classes represented in the top 6 overall right now.
Yeah, a lot of the pros out there, obviously, with the Pro-Am combinations, with the way they line up and qualify. So Macquarie's having a good run here. He's putting the pressure on Mackay Stevens. He is the lead of the number 82 Bimmer World entry, 4th on the road right now. Macquarie behind the wheel. Jason Hart, the first of the non-BMW, sits in P5 overall and 2nd in Pro-Am. That's him right there, the bright yellow and white NOLA Sport entry.
Looking to win another championship. It would be 3 in a row in the Pro-Am class for Jason Hart, with 2 different co-drivers. One with his current co-driver, Matt Travis, 2 years ago. One with Scott Noble last year. Back reunited with Matt Travis here this year. And they've been strong from the get-go, as you would expect.
Both of these drivers put on quite the show here yesterday. Right now it's not quite so intense, but Kenton Cook has the lead from the pole. JCD just hovering, sitting there. Tires and pressures and temperatures should be into their sweet spot right now. We finish off this 2nd lap.
If you're new to Pirelli GT4 America, it's a 60-minute race. 2-driver format, so there's a pit stop that will occur with 5 minutes on. Oh, big crash. More on that format in a second, but we've got a couple of cars, one from the Skip Barber stable, and that immediately prompts a safety car.
Carter Faddock behind the wheel of that 37 machine. Had a clean race yesterday, which was nice to see because we have had some problems getting through these races cleanly with the 3 classes intermixed. Various degrees of experience and talent levels behind the wheel. Always interesting, but we see the crew workers heading out quickly to try and clean this one up so we can get back to green flag racing.
Carter had been running 26th in the vicinity of Eric Powell and Kobe Shield. Did not get an ID on the 2nd car involved in the incident. We'll let timing and scoring sort itself out as the field now under safety car speeds files across the start-finish line.
Kai Stevens done a nice job, was very aggressive on the start. Doesn't seem like Macquarie could make a move on him there in terms of the straightaway speed, so they seem a little bit more even here today.
Cal, I think the 2nd car might have been Eric Powell former teammate of Carter's with the Skip Barber School team. Eric now driving for Tech Sport Racing in one of those Nissan Z GT4s. And both of those cars have taken a tumble down the running order. A number of cars have not come around to complete their second lap. Rob Walker and Jason Griscavage as well. So we'll have to sort that out. For the moment, it brings a halt to the proceedings. 54 minutes still remaining. Kitten Cook leading John Capestro-Dubets. What a duel those two had right to the finish, and it all started with the first drivers in those cars, with Zach Anderson and Kevin Boehm.
We're coming up to the scene of the accident. I think it's coming through the snake where some cars got together, possibly. Starting to get some speed up through there, so it's pretty narrow. Easy to get turned.
Everyone tiptoeing through this. This is always a dangerous moment, even after the incident, because you don't know about the state of the debris field. Want to make sure you don't pick up any debris, especially with the amount of carbon fiber on a modern race car. Shards of carbon fiber are so sharp, and it doesn't take much to puncture a tire.
No, they're like little razor blades sitting there on the track, so ideally what you want to do is gap yourself from the car in front of you so you can actually see the road clearly and not just be following through like sheep. Hopefully everyone gets through there without any damage to their tires in this scenario. Obviously, we'll wait and see who else is involved in this incident.
Phenomenal start from Mackay Stevens to go from 6th on the starting grid up to 3rd in the opening laps, and he's playing spoiler amongst all those BMWs there.
Yeah, I think he recognized that, you know, he's vulnerable on the straightaways a little bit. Here we see Kenton Cook's teammate, Kevin Boehm. Big smile right now. They got the track position once again, and Kevin, our TC champion, getting the jump into GT4 machinery for the first time, also making the switch from front-wheel drive Hondas over to the rear-wheel drive. It's been a transition, but he's definitely up to the task.
Talking about the battle yesterday between the 51 and the 92. That was started by Zach Anderson and Kevin Boehm when we saw Kevin just a few moments ago, but now a chance to hear from Zach.
And Zach, the guys were just talking about the battle started yesterday between you and Kevin, and having to watch the back half of that race yesterday with JCD and Kenton Cook. Is it harder to be in the battle or to watch it?
It's I don't know. I'd rather be in it. Yeah, it's a lot easier to be in it and have control. But I trust JCD in any situation. So, yeah, he's going to pull through and dig deep always.
You were just telling me a stat off camera that you've actually never been in a wreck in SRO, but just as you continue to evolve, is it track awareness that helps that?
Well, it's a lack of budget, so we don't have the opportunity to have bad judgment. So it's all about making smart decisions and keeping all 4 tires on the gray stuff. We just don't have the capability to make bad decisions, and it's a good place to be. It's a good place to find yourself. It forces good judgment, which is what racing is.
We can see the field making its way back to us here on the front stretch as we head into turn 1. And it was in lap 1 that Mackay Stevens made a heck of a move, jumping 3 positions on the outside. And there was a whole round of applause from the team here. And standing by with this co-driver, Jesse Webb, it seems like you guys have been just making gradual improvements here this weekend. Any expectations for your stint when you take over?
You know, all we can do is go out there and do the best we can. I mean, if the race comes to us, you know, we're struggling a bit in the straight line, but we have a little bit better tire management from what we can see. So we got to hope for some more green flag laps and, yeah, just get running.
When you think of maybe somewhat of a track disadvantage, not to call it that, but as a driver when you're in your stint, how do you maintain that composure?
Just, you know what you can do with what you've got and keep the pressure on as much as you can. I mean, that's all we can do right now, and yeah, just keep putting down fast laps and hope it comes to us.
Well, Mackay Stevens up 3 positions already in this race. And guys, I think we've seen a couple restarts out of Mackay, so he'll be on it.
Yeah, we have. He's aggressive. We saw it on the initial start. It played into his favor to go on the attack, up a couple of positions now, running 3rd. Jesse Webb certainly very, very quick early in his GT4 career as well, and we will see him in the 2nd stint. The report, by the way, on the drivers involved in the accident is that everyone is being taken for a procedural check. This is something that is done anytime there's a major incident, but early reports are everyone is more or less all right, which is great news. And I do believe that is one of the Nissans there on the left-hand side of the screen, still trying to identify exactly who was involved. But I think it was Powell and Fartuk who got the worst of this impact.
Yeah, 4 drivers who are being shown on timing and scoring are those 2 that you mentioned, Ryan, along with Rob Walker.
At least 2 cars then involved in that incident, and you can see the cleanup still ongoing. So I'm afraid to say we might be under the safety car for a fair while yet. So many precautions, of course, have to be taken. First to attend to the drivers, then to try and clear the damaged race cars, and after that, the attention focuses on the barriers, the tire bales, things of that nature. And the track staff here at VIR, absolutely top-notch, no stone unturned. They will take the amount of time necessary, no more, no less, and make sure this track is ready to go so we can resume racing.
Yeah, getting back to what Jesse Webb said in his interview there with Amanda, talking about, you know, just focus on what you can control. And I think Chip Ganassi once said, we aim to win every race, but if we don't have the speed, then you just focus on 2nd. If it's not 2nd, you focus on 3rd. It's maximizing your result for that particular racetrack, for that particular race weekend. That's how you put championship runs together. Don't start looking for something that's not achievable, overdriving the car, making mistakes, taking big risks. And I think for the cars other than the BMWs, they've got to recognize that the BMW seems to be the strongest car to have here this weekend. There'll be other racetracks where the Porsche and the Mercedes and the Aston Martin may come at the forefront a little bit more.
Jesse, just another in a long line of young talents identified by John Farrow, a Canadian businessman who's partnered up with Eric Bachelard's Conquest Racing team to form Conquest Racing JMF Motorsports. And John has he's made it his mission to pick out young drivers without too much, without funding, looking for that opportunity. And I'll tell you what, everyone he has tabbed to jump in that race car over the last couple of years has been incredibly quick. Talk about an eye for talent.
Yeah, it really is. And I think Ian Willis is part of that process, who's a recognized team owner with AIM Autosport up north of the border. And he's kind of involved in a lot of the championships up there north of the border in Canada. And he recognized this talent early. And I think he's a great kind of insight to where the next young superstar is, and they've done a great job so far. They've had some really quick kids through that car over the last couple of seasons.
Approaching 15 minutes complete out of this 60-minute Pirelli GT4 America Race 2 and Virginia International Raceway. Let's reset the order. Kenton Cook leads John Capestro, Dubets, and Mackay Stevens. Top 3 overall, also the top 3 in the silver class. You can tell with the silver number plates on our scoring pylon on the left-hand side of the screen. The blue number plates indicate a Pro-Am class car. That class right now led by Tyler McQuarrie, a winner yesterday, alongside James Walker Jr. Jason Hart finished 2nd yesterday. That's where he runs today. There's a look at the damaged race car being pulled away. Carter Fartuk able to walk away from that Toyota Supra. That was the good news. Cleanup continues down here in the turn 5 area. While that happens, we've got a car slow. I believe that would be Matt Halcomb. Yep, ACI Motorsports. It's an AM class entry from this team based in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Stop, start, control out, delete.
Possibly. Someone would assume it's a little bizarre there to be stopped in the middle of the racetrack. Normally you pull it off to the side, but we're under yellow, so probably no risk of doing it there and then.
And quickly back to the running order right now. We were talking about Tyler McQuarrie leading in the Pro-Am class for Bimmer World, and Bimmer World also out in front in the Am class. Those cars indicated by the red number panels on the scoring pylon. James Clay, Charlie Postins, defending series champions in the Am class, running 6th overall, but leading in category. Not too far behind the team car, which is the leader in Pro-Am. That's how they finished yesterday.
And I tell you what, James Walker Jr. just did a mega job yesterday. First with qualifying, then his early stint there to set the table for that win for Bimmer World with the 82 car in the Pro-Am class, along with Tyler McQuarrie. I think he's really enjoying life. He's liking Tyler kind of ramping things up to the next level in terms of the performance of that race car.
Just past a quarter way through this race, we've got the second placed Pro-Am car on the screen right there. That is Jason Hart. His co-driver is Matt Travis, and Amanda has found the world's fastest accountant.
The world's fastest accountant is standing right here. I hope you like that description. I was standing with Matt Travis yesterday when Scott Noble said hello on the YouTube stream. So if you're watching, hello to everyone that is watching. We were talking about kind of the differences with the Porsche format here and the BMW. What advantages do you find out of the Porsche?
This weekend, unfortunately, not too many. I think we're punching above our weight with the BOP, a little askew as it is. 9 cars in a podium yesterday, 3 podiums. We were the only Porsche. The other 8 were BMWs. So pretty proud of that. Fastest Porsche. This team always puts together the best placed Porsche. So happy to be there. Green Flag Racing sure would help us. So hopefully they can get the repairs completed and we can go back green. I'm looking forward to getting out there.
There's no secret of the success of the partnership between you and Jason. And compared to driving styles, do you guys also enjoy a similar setup of the car, or how do those vary?
We do. We've been working together so long. I mean, certainly everything I've learned about how to drive a car is from Jason. So very similar styles. It's no accident. So yeah, the setup's great. I mean, the car's been perfect since second practice. We want for nothing other than a little more horsepower, which again is a little out of our control. So we'll just go out and race them, and looking forward to getting to the podium. I'm excited. I'm, in the words of the late great Colonel Sanders, I am too drunk to taste this chicken.
We knew something was coming. Thank you, Matt.
Always good to hear from Matt Travis. Loves his racing, always enthusiastic, always works in a movie quote at some point during an interview. Speaking from experience, it keeps you on your toes.
It does. You've been there, right?
I have a few times. And you think about it. I mean, he talks about how this team prepares a fast Porsche, and that is absolutely true. Look at what they have done since 2020 alone. In 2020, they won an AM Class Teams Championship. They won a Pro-Am Championship in 21. They won a Pro-Am Championship in 22. Still very much in the mix for one here in 23. And this team, they're only 8 years removed from entering their first ever race. That was back in 2015.
Yeah, there's some tremendous prep shops out there, but certainly Nola Sport have established themselves at the top of the tree, continue to bring in different driver lineups and still have success. So that's really a testimony. It's one thing you've got the same driver pairing who dominate, but when you bring in different teammates and you're able to do the same thing, I think that then relates to the setup of the race cars and the preparation.
Yeah, phenomenal effort from the NOLA Sport team. We stay under yellow here. Big incident, and Carter Fartuck was one of the drivers involved. He's standing by now with Amanda.
And Ryan, he has been seen and released from the medical center, and his family is standing outside of this interview. Your father over there. Carter, I'm great to see you, and I know that you said that you're fine, but I want to go back to the incident with Eric, your assessment of what happened.
Yeah, so first off, I'm sorry. My voice is a little bit raspy here. But he got hit by one of the BMWs, one of the Autotechnic BMWs, and I had to go to the right to kind of avoid both of them, and then going through the lower S's there, I think his right front suspension just broke, and his car just cut right and took me along with it into the wall. So he hit the wall, and unfortunately that moved away the barrier, so my hit was right into the guardrail, so that wasn't too fun. But you know, the Skip Barber team, I know we're going to get it back together. We're going to get our other car getting ready and get ready for Road America. So well, it's good to start fresh after this race. But thankfully I'm okay. Thankfully Toyota built a really good car, and the Skip Barber guys built a really safe car as well. So yeah, all good.
Thank you, Carter.
Thank you.
Let's see. I think we're going to have a look at least part of what happened here. We got Powell in the tech sport car, hit there. I think that was Rob Walker he was fighting with. Popped him up on 2 wheels, and then you heard just a few moments ago from Carter explaining something wasn't quite right with that car. That's Walker going off track. He too had some issues, clearly. And now we wait to see if we can get a look or not at, I don't think we will, unfortunately, at the issue for Powell that also took Carter with him. This is Matt Halcomb, who was having some issues, stopped on track earlier, now back in the pit lane. But what did you see in that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough to get side by side through there and not have a little bit of you know, contact, and obviously something may have got damaged on Eric's car, and we didn't see the incident. I'd imagine as we saw Walker running off to driver's left, as you look to see where that white safety vehicle is right now, I think the incident was occurring to the right-hand side as Eric's car speared across and Carter had nowhere to go, it sounds like.
Tough situation there. Maybe we can learn a little bit more from Eric Powell, who has been cleared by medical and is standing by with Amanda.
And Eric has been cleared from the medical center as well. I just saw you speaking with your team on kind of reflecting on what happened on track, your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really disappointing. We have a brand new program with Tech Sport Racing and Nissan, and you know, we're making progress little by little, but you know, we're kind of in the danger zone back there, and the driving standards are a little disappointing. Our race pace is stronger than our qualifying pace, so I was trying to make my way up through there, and guys just weren't leaving room or don't have the awareness. I thought I left room. I feel bad for everyone that got caught up in that, especially Carter, a good buddy of mine. We just kind of ended up door to door, shaking our heads. So.
Thank you, Eric.
Yep, thank you.
Tough situation, and again, yeah, Carter Fartuck and Eric Powell, longtime teammates with the Skip Barber school team, both of them instructors for Skip Barber for many years. Difficult situation anyway, but especially when it catches out one of your good friends.
Yeah, it is, and you know, it's tight through there to get side by side and not rub a little bit. We saw yesterday some great racing. It was close, but we're just on the right side of having an incident, and today so easily it goes the other way. And you're starting to ramp up the speed here as you clear turn 5 there, and you're starting to accelerate. The speeds are starting to get up there, and if there is a moment at that point, we've seen over the years here, it's not a great place to have a moment, and you can see the tire repair that's going on right now to get this racetrack back ready for green flag racing. We're also very close to approaching that pit stop window, so I've got a feeling that will be delayed here.
In fact, we've just received that word that the pit window will be delayed, so ordinarily from 35 minutes to 25 minutes. 5 minutes on either side, straddling the midway point. That's the mandatory pit window. But because of the yellow flag, that will have to wait. And they will do their best to get that opened up on an even number remaining on the clock to make it more simple for us to try and figure out when the window is open and shut. One other element to clean up. I think we've accounted for all but one car that seemingly had an issue there on that lap when we first went to this yellow. We heard from Powell, we heard from Fartuck, we saw what happened with Rob Walker pulling off the track. The one question I still have is Jason Griscavage, native of Springfield, Virginia, who's going racing this weekend with Rooster Hall Racing. Big support from his family. Wife's company, Runway Travel, has had a lot to do with them being here and getting a chance to race, but doesn't look like they will race much today. Only completed 1 lap. I'm not sure if he got part of that incident or if it was something separate, but that is one other car we needed to update you on. And there is the official word from race control that the pit window will be delayed, and what that means is there's not going to be many racing laps for driver 1 here today.
Yeah, I mean, typically you got the faster of the driver lineups in the cars right now, and what you may see is even when that pit window opens up, it'll still be the full 10 minutes, but it's delayed in terms of when that starts. They may still choose to dig into that, take advantage of the speed of the starting drivers here today. So what it will mean is the second driver will have a very short stint to the checkered flag here this morning.
Yes, that's true. It also means, as always, race 2, that it's the AMs and the Pro-Am lineups that are going to fight it out, and it's pretty likely that everyone's going to be relatively close together. Not much of a chance for the pros to get a big gap. Basically just the duration of the pit window to try and build that advantage then for their AMs to try and manage themselves.
It's going to be fun because typically we see a bigger delta amongst the AM drivers than the pros. The pros are very consistent, run similar pace, but the AMs, there's certainly some time differences there. So should be a fun finish to this race once we get going again.
Yep, no word quite yet on just how close we might be to resuming the race. Every time the field has come through turns 4, 5, and 6, we see the tire barriers a little bit closer than they were the lap before, and that's the holdup right now. You can see everybody available, all hands on deck from the VIR staff, rearranging those tire bundles. Looks like all the damaged cars have been cleared, the debris has been cleared, and now it's just about putting those tire bales in front of the Armco barriers. And Calvin, it is amazing to me just how good those tire bales are at absorbing an impact, and all the credit in the world to the track staff at VIR for putting them back in place and making this racetrack safe to race on again.
Yeah, we see lots of innovation these days in terms of safer barriers and the like, but bundling the tires together, if they're strapped correctly, it just allows those tires to compress and absorb a lot of the energy. And particularly when you think about going down into a heavy brake zone on street circuits, we see where they're stacked in a way with gaps between them, so it absorbs the initial hit, and then there's some gap before you get to a second level. But certainly even in like a side hit like this, they do their job.
33 minutes, 45 seconds to go. Elias Sabo is standing by, waiting for his chance to jump behind the wheel of his Flying Lizard Aston Martin. Amanda, you found him.
We did find him. He was here this morning rooting on his teammate here, Jason Bell, for the GT America class. And I was just talking to you off camera of how much you use that race to get you ready for GT4. So feeling a little behind the 8 ball, or?
Yeah, a little bit, but you know, we've had a lot of practice here. We started on Wednesday and we're able to get up to pace pretty well. So I feel pretty fresh. I usually like that first race, get a couple laps underneath me, get a race start in again, and you know, we won't have that benefit, but hopefully we go green here soon. And Andy's put us in a great spot in 4th, so just need another spot to get on the podium.
Talk about Andy Lee and just going through the evolution of you as a racing driver. How much has he contributed to that?
Yeah, I tell people, not only is Andy a great race car driver, he is the best coach in America. So if you're looking for somebody to coach you, there is none better. You know, I started in 2016 having never been in a car before, and Andy has brought me up to this level. I give him all the credit in the world. He's a great man.
Thank you, Elias. Good luck today.
Thank you, Amanda.
Great to hear from Elias, 4th in class, currently 8th overall with Andy Lee driving. And Andy is a fantastic racing driver himself. Got started working as a mechanic at a racing school at age 20, did whatever he needed to do to get a racing seat, and was the World Challenge GTS class Rookie of the Year back in 2012. Numerous race wins in the subsequent years, but has carved out a career for himself, not just as a racing driver, but as we heard from Elias, a really good driver coach.
Yeah, he's really a stalwart back in the GTS era. Ran with a very small team, but did a lot of great things with that. And now we get to the era of 2-driver formats. He's the perfect person to have as your coach, your mentor, yardstick, speed in a race car. He brings it all together.
Yes, he does, and he's brought the best out of Elias Sabo, one of so many of these bronze-rated drivers in the championship that we talk about, Calvin, that we can see that improvement incrementally, race to race, year to year. Elias Sabo, a real success story of this race format.
He really is, and the light bulb suddenly went on. He got the confidence and started to win races, and he's a fun personality to have in our paddock. He's always got a big smile on his face. He's run with a great group there at Flying Lizard. So much experience in that camp. Stephen Costello's the team manager there for their GT4 program. He actually was my mechanic when I first came to the States back in the mid-'80s to run a race program over here. So he's got a ton of miles under his belt as well. He's an ex-driver himself, so that always helps. And they've got Owen Hayes there, who's really helping out with the engineering side of things as well. So top-notch group, and with Andy Lee as well, Elias Sabo has got all of the right pieces in place.
The next best news I can give after the fact that every driver was okay following that big incident is the lights are off on the Toyota GR Supra safety car. We are half a lap away from going back to green, just approaching the halfway mark of this race. We'll go green, and shortly thereafter, the pit window will open. It lasts 10 minutes. We expect the pros in the Pro-Am lineups to stay out as long as they can. But how about some of these AM lineups, or maybe some of the silver lineups? Get out of traffic, get some clean air, maybe have a chance to roll the strategy dice?
I think so, because there's always the risk of another yellow, and that can really be a big curveball in terms of the strategy. So you're running a little bit of a risk by staying out. A lot of it depends on where the safety car comes out. If you can hustle back around and get in a pit lane, then you're in great shape. But if you suddenly have the safety car jump out in front of you and you do a lap at a reduced pace and you haven't made that pit stop. So lots of unknowns, but I'd say the safer for the AM lineup. So if you've got equal driver speed between the driver pairing is to come a little bit earlier, but we'll have to wait and see. I think certainly with the pros on board versus an AM who's going to get in, you'd want to extend that run a little bit further and have some pace to take advantage of.
Well, here will be the procedure. We'll go green. Every car will clear the timing line, and then at the top of the next minute, whatever that happens to be, that is when the window will open for the subsequent 10 minutes. We go back to racing at VIR. Kenton Cook puts the hammer down through the VP acceleration zone, and he builds a massive gap, bigger than we ever saw through the race yesterday, over John Capestre Nubets, the two who finished 1-2. They run 1-2 now. Mackay Stevens coming under threat here from Tyler McQuarrie. Looks like he's able to hold him off. The fight, though, is on. Povolato and James Quay currently fighting over 6th and 7th.
Yeah, that was a bright red Aston Martin making a run down the outside, but James Clay was up for the top. Oh, there's contact there. That's Andy Lee and Povolato as you enter turn 3. That was a big hit, but Andy's keeping it together. I'm surprised the car's not damaged. That looked like a big one.
It was a remarkable save, and it looked like it was wheel well to wheel well. Andy Lee, though, able to keep it pointed straight. He continues to fend off the charging John Jesbray, but that contact did cost him momentum in a couple of spots.
Boy, the Flying Lizard Group have been through the wars here this weekend, had a lot of incidents midweek in the testing and continued in the races here yesterday. So they really dodged a big moment there. I can't believe that Lee's car is not damaged in terms of the geometry, but he's still holding great pace, it looks like. So hard to coexist there through that little jog on the approach to turn 3.
Pit window is open for any and all takers. Lee looks like he's hanging the back of that race car out. Not sure if that's due to the damage or simply low tire temps. Whatever the case, he's got his hands full in the orange Aston Martin, but he's cleared Jesbray. Behind Jesbray, a battle is starting to erupt as well. But now we check in at the front of the field, and Kenton Cook has escaped. He has pulled out a massive lead over JCD.
James Clay there, the last car in shot right now, is trying to make a move there down the back straightaway, down Madison Avenue on Jason Hart, but Hart was good on the brakes there into the brake zone. All of these pros going to be up on the wheel, just trying to maximize the gap that they create here. We see some takers for pit lane.
Very interesting. Kenton Cook comes in from the lead. He'll hand over to Kevin Bohm. John Capestre Dubets perhaps also coming in. Mackay Stevens certainly coming in, as is Clay. It's about 50-50, the split here. Who wants to come in and roll the dice? Who wants to stay out, risk the yellow?
Top 3 come in here, so certainly they believe that Bohm can get the tasks done here. Kai Stevens is in, Jesse Webb going to take over. What can they pull out here, trying to rebound from a difficult day here yesterday? Still finished decent in the points, but well off the podium. A little bit of a tire pressure adjustment going on. Minimum stop time here is 70 seconds from pit in to pit out.
No refuel, no change of tires. You can bleed some tire pressure, but other than that, it's just about the driver change. Underway here for the Bimmer World squad. 82 car stayed out. Other Bimmer World car, that's Tyler McQuarrie. Now leading overall, Jason Hart giving chase in his NOLA Sport Porsche. Quick work by the Random Vandals team. They will maintain their advantage over Auto Technic. But now it's Kevin Bohm who will be scrapping with Anderson. Jesse Webb right there too. This is the top 3 coming to the pit window from the silver class. They leave the pit lane in the same order at which they came in.
Yeah, and the nice thing is with the length of this racetrack, you can make that pit stop if you're at the front end of the field and come out in relatively clean air, because you're looking at best laps right now at 156 range. So you're going to clear that pack. It's not like you're going to come out in traffic. So that may be a part of that decision-making process in making that early stop in this pit stop window.
This is a part of the battle pack that has
damage
not
on
yet
this car,
pitted.
looks like.
Yeah, that is the current leader in the AM class, Juan Pablo Martinez, out of the NOLA Sport camp.
Plus tire rub or smoke from the engine there as he came through hog pen.
See one BMW make the turn to the pit lane. That might have been Colin Garrett for Rooster Hall. I think it is. So they're going to get the Drift Master, Johann Schwartz, aboard that car. Here comes the change. Hometown kid already on the podium today. Colin Garrett in TCX. Must have bumped the windshield wipers on his way out. Johan corrects that quickly.
Really solid day here yesterday. This team's really making its mark in this form of competition. Great group. Johann's an avid, got so much passion for his racing. Just digs deep, trying to make programs happen. If you are a partner of his, you certainly get a full return.
He's got both of his kids here this weekend celebrating Father's Day at the racetrack. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Coming up on, what, 3 minutes or so into this pit window. A little over that now, 4 minutes in. Still time for a couple more laps for those that are electing to stay out. This is the group that already pitted. Kevin Bohm has been right on the pace. We've not seen Zach Anderson make inroads. In fact, Anderson is pulling away a little bit from Webb. We're starting to see how everyone will cycle through. How does this strategy play out between the early stoppers and those that have stayed out and run long in this opening stint?
And it also really benefits the guys who are maybe a little bit more aggressive on their setup and maybe use the tires a little bit more, because they've not got a lot of green flag running on this single set of tires that you run in these GT4 America events.
McQuarrie calls it quits, but Jason Hart does not. These are the top two runners in the Pro-Am class. Time now to make hay. If you're Jason Hart, run that extra lap, maybe two. Depends on the timing, probably just the one, and see if that's enough to make a big jump.
A chance, an extra one. It's going to be tight. They'll have to look at the clock next time through, but certainly this is hammer time for Jason Hart. What you're trying to do essentially is the overcut. You stay out there with a driver that's in his rhythm. No real change in terms of the performance of the cars after the stops, but Jason Hart is going to be looking for a really fast in-lap compared to James Walker Jr.'s out-lap to see if there's a change in position in the Pro-Am class.
This is Paul Keebler and John Branham swapping out at the TR3 Racing Aston, and we've got an Aston off the track. Andy Lee, unless he has pitted, and that might be Sabo on an outlap. I'm not sure, but that is the Flying Lizard Aston. Certainly a contender in the Pro-Am ranks, and that will cost him track position.
Yeah, just a rough day. They're just involved in too many little moments here to really get a solid result.
Word from the pits is they have not made a stop yet. That was Andy. Change over here for the winners in Pro-Am yesterday. The Bimmer World car, overall leaders coming through. Mackay Stevens make that Jesse Webb coming around the outside of James Walker Jr., not for class position. Top three de facto are silver class cars, the top three of those that have yet to pit, but it's getting hotter at the front. Here comes Anderson. He's found the pace and reeled in Kevin Bohm. This figures to be for the overall lead when everything shakes out.
Yeah, once everyone cycles through, this should be for the overall lead. Here's Jason Hart has stayed out here. How much time is on the board? I think he can go one more.
Might be able to. And he will. NOLA Sport will know. We only know around when the pit window opened, so it's hard to say definitively. But Jason Hart and company, they will push the envelope. They're going to rely on his pace. He just ran a 56 flat.
Be tight to do another one. It'd be really tight. I think we're about 8 minutes into that 10-minute window. You don't have to complete the service by the time the window closes, but you have to be on pit lane and break the timing line.
This is going to be fascinating at the front of the field. This is what happened to Andy Lee, by the way. He was fighting with the AM class leader at the time. Oh, and a cut tire. Then he ducks inside. I think the cut tire goes down, up and in, and off the track.
Just so tight through there. Here we see the little bump, gives Andy the nudge. He almost saved it, but he just got the camber of the off-road there, just taking away further and further from the blacktop.
Just 15 seconds away from the halfway mark. This is the battle that raged all race long yesterday. Autotechnic and Random Vandals, but the roles are reversed. Now the Hunter is Autotechnic, and Anderson's got the run.
Big
down
run.
the 3,000-foot long front straightaway into the braking zone for Horseshoe. Bohm will have the inside line, but it looks like Anderson's got the car that's a bit more hooked up right now.
Trying to tuck it back in. Kevin's up to the challenge right now. Just like we saw yesterday between the two teammates, it's almost a cut and paste of how close they were running here yesterday with the battle for the lead. Anderson gets the run. He's going to push it down to the inside. This is going to be tight.
Oh, little touch between the two. Bohm's out of shape, and he drops back into the second spot. This is big in the championship, as Bohm and company are trying to make up ground like they did yesterday, but now dropping behind the championship leaders and falling into the clutches of a charging Jesse Webb. In comes the NOLA Sport car from the lead in the Pro-Am class.
A few other cars following suit who left their starting driver out there trying to maximize the time. I think it may have been Terry Borscheller there at the back of the pack aboard the number 20 he shares with Nick Shaney.
That was an aggressive move from Anderson, and it all started in that run out of Hogpen down the front straightaway. And simply put, Zach Anderson, native of California, now lives in Texas, would not be denied.
So much for the interview with Amanda about not taking any risk. He was willing to get his elbows out that time.
Sure is. And it paid off. Now, can Bohm fend off this car? Jesse Webb, so impressive all season long. Trying to spoil the party for BMW. And now they run 1-2 overall and in the silver class.
It's like raced off of the NOLA Sport entry, just waiting on that minimum time to eat up, and they release him. Let's see what this does. This is going to be a battle between them. We've got to look and see where the 82 car is compared to the 47, and I think he's going to beat the 82 out quite easily. So that was the overlap working there for Jason Hart. Now it's up to Matt Travis to get into his rhythm quickly.
Yes, because James Walker Jr.'s had a couple of laps to get in his rhythm. That's the BMW right behind. A pair of Bimmer World cars running in formation. Walker Jr. in the 82 running 5th overall, and then Charlie Postins, who leads in the AM class just behind, serving as the wingman.
So beautifully judged there by the NOLA Sport racing team in terms of keeping Jason Hart out there. Had the ability to run, I think it was 3 laps in the end, wasn't it? Longer. Some of the others electing to hit pit lane a little bit sooner.
Some fast laps coming in here. That last time around, Jesse Webb set his car's best lap, a 154.7, to close in on Kevin Bohm to within a half a second. Charlie Postins set the new best lap in his number 36 AM class leading car. Gottsacker and Schwartz also setting really quick laps, running just inside the top 10.
Postins here, now behind the wheel of the number 36 Bimmer World entry. Big race for that group, home circuit. A lot of employees on site, a lot of their supporters and customers as well. So showcasing what a brilliant race team they have.
This is going to be fascinating because you see Harry Gottsacker here on the charge. How hard will the team car fight to try and protect Walker? The answer was not very hard. Gottsacker clears him. That's for the 6th position overall, and it now brings Harry right to the tail of the 2nd place car in his Pro-Am class. Actually, that's not for class position, pardon me. That's a silver car with Gottsacker here this weekend.
Yeah, he and Chandler Hull started from the very tail end of the pack yesterday and brought their car up for a podium run. They got a ton of pace, and that STR BMW makes the move down at the inside, and I'm sure the word is out to Walker, just let him go, don't fight, it's a different class. Strange dynamic when you're out there to really just relinquish a position, and he doesn't want to give it up.
Identical BMW chassis to the same GT4 homologation and balance of performance. The only difference in the classes in Pirelli GT4 America is the driver lineups. Silver class lineup going through on the Pro-Am car, with Godsacker picking up the 5th overall position, but he is well behind the top 3 in his class. Anderson, Bowman, Webb way up the road, running 1, 2, 3 overall.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to repeat a podium run here today with the quality and the speed of the top 3 right now, but he's going to keep charging nonetheless, now putting the pressure on Matt Travis, who you would think will try and manage this situation, not lose any time, because James Walker Jr. is not that far behind, as you can see, so Matt Travis is just going to try and let him sneak through. Whoa. Oh, and a big moment there, off and on. That's going to give everyone a run on Travis.
Well, Walker also dropped a wheel, it looks like, and that brings him now into the clutches of his teammate. So the AM class leader, Charlie Poston's, around 3rd place in Pro-Am now. Godsacker does clear Travis relatively harmlessly, as it turned out, because of the miscue from Walker. That meant that Travis's little off didn't matter so much.
There's going to be a decision have to be made there with the Bimmerwald squad. I mean, if Charlie has more pace and just disappear a little bit on James Walker Jr., that doesn't hurt. But if he's running a similar pace, it's going to be almost like a blocker in terms of protecting Matt Travis's lead aboard the Porsche.
Walker's got some bigger problems in the form of Johann Schwartz, who finds himself on the charge right behind. That's the Rooster Hall Racing BMW, primarily gray machine, that has raced its way up to 8th overall, just off the podium in the Pro-Am class. That car started by hometown hero Colin Garrett from nearby South Boston.
Yeah, the dynamic is changing here, so James Walker's certainly got a challenge on his hands, trying to hold on to that. Oh, damage down into the horseshoe once again.
Kevin Conway in the Smooth Racing 68 Supra. The car started by John Jesbray. He might have some major issues with that car. Was running 12th overall at the time.
It's like you can't get the car to turn to the right, so I assume maybe a toe link is broken or something on the front suspension.
This is interesting. Kevin Boehm has not fallen away at all. In fact, he just set his and that car's best lap of the race. This deep into the running, a 1:55.166, which was half a second quicker than Zach Anderson on the last lap.
Well, I think he's determined, as we still see the stranded car there of Kevin Conway sitting down into the kind of the runoff area. It's not a safe spot to be at the speeds you approach down into that brake zone, but we'll have to wait and see what the stewards do as the battle continues up front. But for Kevin Boehm, he wants to seal the deal. He wants to win one of these races with him behind the wheel, so he seems like he's found a rhythm now and got a similar pace to Anderson, maybe a little bit more.
They might not be 1-2 in points, and that has a lot to do with the unfortunate weekend that Random Vandals had at Circuit of the Americas. But it does seem like these two teams, these two lineups, really these three, if you throw Conquest into the mix, have emerged as the top 3 crews within the silver class this year.
Yeah, and just like yesterday, I mean, one position change can be a 14-point swing, as you mentioned earlier, Ryan. There's 7 points delta between first and second place points, so this is critical. Yesterday, it was a 48-point margin that they're behind the championship leaders, the 92 car. They dropped that down to 41. It'd be back up to 48 the way they're running right now, but if Bowman can get by, it'd be down to 34. Oh, here's Travis involved, it looks like.
Yeah, Schwartz as well. 2 cars from the Pro-Am ranks. Travis was leading at the time. Not sure how Schwartz would have been involved. There were a couple of cars separating them, and we go red, according to Ray. That might have been a glitch, so never mind.
What I'm surprised is I would have thought there would have been a local yellow down in there with the stranded car, so why anyone was racing to the point that there was contact is unusual.
A lot of questions that need answers. I don't know. Well, we'll have to check the next time around what that means for the Pro-Am class, because the leader and the 3rd place car in class, at the very least, were involved, and Schwartz just went bounding off track. This is how it happened. Oh, big move up the inside from Schwartz. He had taken second, was trying to take the lead too.
Wow. I just can't believe. Where is Conway's car? Has he managed to maneuver that into a safe zone possibly? Because I assumed there was going to be a local yellow there down into turn 1.
Yeah, right there with you. So now Travis on the rebound here with under 11 minutes to go. It's the AM class car of STR38, Robert Mao, that runs in front of him, and the damage to Johann Schwartz's car is too significant. You can see it. That is too much camber in the left front. Something is certainly broken, and Johan has given up the ghost.
Yeah, and I sense a degree of frustration there.
This is how the race ended.
Yeah, he's got that car parked not in a safe spot either, so I think they're going to have to bring the field under control here.
And they have. Double yellows displayed around the track, just over 10 minutes to go. That's going to bunch everyone right back up again. If this is a quick cleanup, and it very well might be, we could have a dash to the checkered here as Johann Schwartz dejectedly trudges away from the Rooster Hall Racing BMW. Trademark yellow Saubelt gloves in hand.
Yeah, he's a proud racer, so he'll want to look at that one and see how that one evolved. Probably felt he had the inside line as Matt came down towards the apex. I'm sure Matt has a different version of events, but...
Well, what was the effect on the Pro-Am class? Walker Jr. back to the front. Won yesterday along with Tyler McQuarrie. How about Kurt Swearingen, team owner from ACI Motorsports? That's the car that Kai Van Berlo started. Kai put in some really quick laps, and now Kurt finds himself second with a buffer back to Travis, who has held on at least to the final step of the podium in Pro-Am, back in 11th overall.
Not a ton of time to play with here, so the safety crews are going to have to be on their toes here to get that stranded car. It's not going to be easy to move if they try and use a flatbed with that left front suspension basically ripped out of it.
Looking at caution laps, just under 4 minutes if previous laps are any indication. It's not going to leave us with much time. Best case scenario, probably green and white simultaneously, with the checkered to be expected the following lap.
Yeah, a couple of minutes if they're able to get this car hooked up quickly.
Breaks off a wonderful duel that has been going on all weekend long between the Auto Technic number 51 of Anderson and John Capestro Dubets and the Random Vandals number 92 BMW of Kevin Bohm and Kenton Cook. What a show they put on for us yesterday, and it has continued, only abated by these full course yellow periods here in race 2.
Pimmer will continue to lead the AM class with Charlie Poston's behind the wheel of the 36. As we mentioned before, Walker Jr. still in Pro-Am, but Swearingen is there.
And actually, Cal, I misspoke. I said Travis was still in third in class, but he's actually not. He's fourth because Ross Schwest is up to the third spot in Pro-Am in the car that Aaron Povoleto started.
Solid day for ACI Motorsports as well. Francis Seldorf behind the wheel. The car he shares with Andrew Davis, the number 19 entry. Sits there 9th overall and 5th in the silver class, so it's a decent day for them.
Really impressive young man, Francis Seldorf. His father, Frank, has done quite a bit of racing. Francis, student at Boston College in Massachusetts. Fantastic institution of higher learning. And has a great professor, if you will, on the racing side with Andrew Davis helping him out.
Yeah, Andrew's a quality guy, good friend of ours, of course, and continues to have the pace to lead the charge for this operation.
I think we're going to learn a lot about our odds of going back to green here when we see how long this lap took. We're looking at just over 6 minutes to go. The lap for the leaders, we see the car of Conway being cleared. Anderson just did a lap at 4 minutes 11 seconds behind the safety car. That'll leave us with just under 2 minutes, so it's going to have to be this next lap or nothing as far as a restart is concerned.
Sure, they got the message out to the safety car to slow things down as much as possible. We always like to see the races finish under green.
It all depends on the cleanup up there by South Bend and in the run to Oak Tree, where Johann Schwartz's race came to an end. He's about to climb aboard the medical vehicle. Not sure where the race car is, though. That becomes the question. A look in here at the Tech Sport team. We heard from Tyler Stone earlier on the broadcast. He and Brian Heidkotter. This is the Jesbray Conway car being cleared. One of two that had some issues here in recent laps. But quickly back to Brian Heidkotter, Tyler Stone. They're flying the flag for Nissan at Tech Sport after the early crash for Eric Powell. There's Kenton Cook, Kevin Boehm, watching on, just chomping at the bit, hoping, praying he might get to see his teammate Kevin Boehm finish this race. Kenton Cook, though, nothing he can do but watch at this stage.
Looking for his third straight victory here this weekend, but I think the real curveball is the fact of this safety car and whether we're going to see any green flag action to give his teammate Kevin Boehm, and it's unlikely. We can see the cars on the flatbed. They've got a little bit of time here, but I'd say it's probably 90 seconds or so.
Yeah, with the car still sitting there on the flatbed, I'm afraid to say I don't like our odds. A look there at the comic book inspired helmet of John Henry Capestro Dubets, JCD as we know him. Colorful helmet for a colorful character.
It's basically JHCD then.
It should be, but that's a mouthful, which is why we've already shortened it to JCD to begin with. Don't need to add any further complication into this. And there JCD stands alongside our Amanda Busick, swapping a couple of notes. Amanda's getting ready. She's going to be busy here very soon interviewing our race winners. Unfortunately, I do not think we will be seeing a restart. Does not appear likely at this stage. Amanda, we saw you on camera there. You're getting ready. What do you know here in the closing minutes?
Yeah, I was just talking to JCD about Zach Anderson. You know, if it ends right now, they are the winners, but Zach is absolutely relaying back to his team, we have a good car. I want to race for this. So you got to appreciate that.
100%. It would be easy for them to say, yep, let's take the win that's in the bag and hope for this thing to end under yellow. But you saw how much fun this group had racing together yesterday. You saw the celebration for Kenton Cook in victory lane, and the first one there outside of his own team to congratulate him was the man he beat in that duel, John Capestro Dubets.
Yeah, a lot of respect between the two drivers, between the two camps, and it's unfortunate we're going to end this one under yellow because I think Kevin Boehm suddenly found his stride there a little bit, and he may have had something for Zach Anderson. I think Zach got into his cadence of the race a little bit quicker than Kevin did, got that lead, but Kevin certainly showcased that with his fast lap, which was quicker than his teammate here today.
White flag displayed along with the yellow, which means in however long it takes to get the field around, we'll see the checkered flag and this race will be official. Looks like Zach Anderson, barring some kind of disaster here behind the safety car, is going to rebound and pick up the win for Auto Technic alongside John Capestro Dubets. Rest of the podium in the silver class figures to be Random Vandals and Conquest Racing. Conquest doing a nice job today to limit the damage when clearly the rest of the field is struggling to keep up with the strength of BMW here at this particular track. Other classes, Charlie Postins looks like he's going to get a chance to pick up the win once again. Second straight day for the Bimmer World AM Class pairing. In the AM Class, 5th overall, Charlie and James Clay. Robert Mao, Chris Allen down there in 10th overall, but 2nd in AM. And then Krug Speed down in 13th overall, but figures to be a podium run for the AM Class runners. Here comes the field through. 4th in line was Harry Godsacker, Postins 5th, Walker Jr., then Swearingen in the green car. Schwest, good deal, good race for him. Zeldorf, Mao, Travis Baxton, Gerasi Sabo, and on back we go in this incredibly deep field here in Pirelli GT4 America. Not quite the barn burner we got yesterday, Calvin.
No, and it's disappointing for these finishing drivers because they had a relatively short stint anyway, with the pit window being slid with the incident on track at that point of the race, and then finishing here. There's a lot of effort that goes into being here for these race weekends, and to have minimal track time is not ideal, but we had a classic yesterday, went green all the way, so it can be done. But again, it's tight quarters around some of these sectors here at VIR, and you're going to have contact now and again.
Big race weekend for this team, though. Autotechnic second yesterday, lost a little ground relative to the Random Vandals team, but gained ground on everyone else within the class. And today, maximum points for Zach Anderson and John Capestro Dubets, who will come around to take another win in this 2023 Pirelli GT4 America season. This is the best chance at a championship, at a high-level championship, that Zach Anderson has had in his career. He's taking full advantage. Comes through. He and John Capestro Dubets and the Autotechnic team celebrate another race win, this time in race 2 at VIR. Kevin Bohm comes home second behind the safety car. Jesse Webb in third. AM-class win to Bimmer World. Charlie Postins and James Clay, the reigning champions, stamping their intent on the season. They are well on their way to claiming another AM-class title in back-to-back years. And how about it? James Walker Jr., the long-awaited win here in Pirelli GT4 America alongside Tyler McQuarrie yesterday. He liked the feeling of it so much, he went and did it again here today.
Awesome day for Bimmer World. Awesome weekend. I mean, to sweep both races in both classes that they compete in is pretty strong. And they got a great notebook here at VIR, but the drivers did their job as well.
Definitely did. Rest of the Pro-Am class podium. Quiet day for ACI Motorsports, Kai Van Berlo and Kurt Swearingen, but they come home second. Really good result for the Chattanooga, Tennessee-based team. Schwest Povolato Racing, again, quiet day. Aaron Povolato ran inside the top 10 overall in his stint, and then Ross Schwest kept the nose clean as chaos erupted around him to secure another podium result. AM class, we talked about the winners, but second to STR 38, Dr. Robert Mao had finishing duties today, and Anthony Gerasi is 13th overall, third in the AM class. Checkered flag under the yellow for Pirelli GT4 America. It's a bit of a break. The gap for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. So many American teams now participating in that event that most of SRO America takes quite a bit of time off to accommodate. The exception being GT America, powered by AWS. Many of these same teams will be in action in that next race in Nashville. But up next for this series, a trip up to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and Road America. Another look at the results here. This time, a full graphics page to go along with our words. John Capestro Dubets and Zach Anderson, as you can see, the race winners there on the right-hand side of the screen ahead of Kenton Cook and Kevin Bohm, Mackay Stevens and Jesse Webb, Walker Jr. and McQuarrie at the top step of the podium in Pro-Am. Second, Swearingen and Van Berlo, Schwest and Povolato third, and in AM, Postins and Clay the winners. Second to Mao and Allen, Lander and Durante. Good run from the Krug Speed team based here on the Eastern Seaboard up in upstate New York. I think we got a chance to hear from John Capestro Dubets, a race winner once again.
We make our way to our podium, and JCD, I mean, just a fun weekend back and forth with both teams battling up at the front. I'm sure we're going to see this one for the rest of the season. What would this team leave for on reflection?
We've had some frustrations in trying to figure this car out, and it feels like this might have been the Eureka race where we feel we have the race car to take it to those Random Vandal guys. They've been the fastest BMW, and it's cool to see them back up front after, like we said, after their big hit at COTA. I really enjoyed my time out there battling with Kenton, and I'm sure that Zach really enjoyed his job battling with Kevin out there. We kept it clean, and that's what we want to do for all y'all, and I hope we put on a good show, and we're really looking forward to the next event. I'm sure
it won't be the BMWs for the next couple, but we'll do everything we can to be back in the show. I did want to say hi to my family, to Eagles Canyon, and to all 100 subscribers to our new vlog. That means a lot to us. So we'll see you guys soon. And I think the man's pulling up right now. Hopefully he gets a little TV time because I'm going to be over there celebrating with him.
And Zach Anderson did make his way to the winner's circle. Gotta love that he wanted to race for it.
100%. You can see the celebration inside the cockpit. He'll be a happy guy. Loves his racing. This chance is the one he's been waiting for years. He knows how special this is and wants to take full advantage.
Yeah, he's a real talent, and he wasn't afraid to get his elbows out. He said he's got to be smart with the budgetary constraints that this team has, but when he needed to, he got aggressive enough to go side by side with Kevin Bowman and kind of bumped his way to the win, but it was all legit, and he was feeling the pressure at the end, and certainly all of that pressure was taken off with that full course yellow, unfortunately.
There's a young Carter set up here in the paddock, fundraising for his karting career based here locally, and Zach made a point to go over and talk to him, about 8, 9, 10 years old, and try and give him some advice, gave him his business cards, said reach out. I just happen to oversee this. Reach out if you need any help to learn anything about this business. He knows all about the grind, and today it's rewarded with a victory. Quickly back down to Victory Circle and Amanda.
We're still waiting for those Bimmer World BMWs to make their way to us. We're here with Tyler McQuarrie, and gosh, what a weekend for the both of you. And James was talking about just how important you've been to his development this season. I know he's going to make it here soon. What are you going to say to him?
I'm just so happy for him. You know, this is our first year running with each other, and he's just made such huge progress. And I enjoy working with him because whatever we're working on, talking about, he goes out and applies it. It's awesome. And the Bimmer World BMW M4 GT4 has been amazing through testing all weekend, and this is the home track for Bimmer World, so to do the sweep for the 82 and the 36, it's just awesome. It's such a great way to thank the whole team.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Picture perfect weekend for the Bimmer World team.
It was. You expect them to be strong here, but with the level of competition this year, it's a tough ask, but they were certainly up to it.
We'll have a chance to chat with our AM-Class winners here today, but another race victory for Charlie Poston's James Clay. They have continued to extend their championship lead. That wraps up a dramatic weekend of racing for Pirelli GT4 America here at VIR. Up next, a trip to America's Dairyland and beautiful Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin and Road America. Hope to see you folks there. So long from VIR.